I'm Garry Kasparov, and I'd like to share with you some of my most memorable moments at the chessboard. It's game 24 against Anatoly Karpov, the World Championship match, 1987 in Sevilla, Spain. I was trailing 12-11 before the last game. And as a world champion, I had my last chance to retain the title by beating Karpov in this game 24, crucial game 24. I was not rushing from the beginning. I tried to play a very quiet, positional game, waiting for Karpov's mistakes. And the game was adjourned to be resumed next day. And the position that you could see now, it's hard to assess. I still don't know whether it's winning for white or it's draw. I would say it's 50-50. White has an extra pawn, as you could see, but all pawns are on the same side. There are a limited number of pieces. So it's very difficult to actually find any winning plan for white. Next day, when I showed up at the stage, I was a couple of minutes earlier. I have to say that with my coaches, we have been analyzing this, but we couldn't find any decisive ideas. And then I saw Karpov entering the stage. That was the crucial moment because I could look at his eyes, I could look at his body, and he looked doomed. I could immediately understand that he didn't believe he could defend this position. And that's everything. It's about your confidence that you can either win or defend, and that will make all the difference for the outcome of the game. So Karpov played g6, and I was waiting, just playing some unimportant moves, queen c5, queen f7. Even if these moves are unimportant, it adds chances that you will make a mistake. And after h4, Karpov made a decisive mistake. Just amazing, because after the adjournment, he had time to analyze this position home, and this move, it fixes the pawn structure. But the problem is now white can exchange queens, and because these pawns are fixed, these two weaknesses, black position will be lost. And eventually I improved my position by threatening to exchange queens and pushed, and eventually won the game. So that's one of the clearest moments where you could see the translation of your psychological weakness into serious mistakes at the chessboard. It is another memorable moment, very painful one, I have to admit. 1996, the final match for a Grand Prix event, Rapid Blitz chess, that I played against Vishy Anand. I think I have to emphasize it's a Blitz game, so it's a 5 minutes chess. It's not about making long-term calculations. This move is played by instincts. We played 2 Blitz games. The first one, I was almost losing, but managed to escape, and that's the last decisive game. I played with black, totally outplayed him. As you could look at the position, black has 2 pawns. Let me emphasize, 2 extra pawns, and total domination in the center. So I don't know which move is not winning. You know, if you don't make a move, you're still winning. But I wanted us to exchange queens, and of course you can take with a knight here, and then after exchange of queens, it's an endgame with 2 extra pawns. I think that most likely Anand would have resigned if I just take with a knight on e3. But suddenly I thought, you know, why I took with a knight if I do the same by exchanging queens by taking with queen. The problem is that white does not have to, is not forced to take the queen. All of a sudden it has a move queen takes g4. And instead of having winning position, black now is lost because my queen is attacked, my rook is attacked, my bishop is attacked. And there's nothing I can do about it. So that's one of the worst blunders. I mean, I couldn't see my face. I could imagine this one. The hundreds of images showing my, call it frustration. And it's, it cost me the victory in the final, but also it's kind of a memory scarf. So it's something that is just, it's sitting there. So even 20 years later, I cannot look at this position without some sort of pain. Another very memorable and very painful moment. It's the last game of my famous rematch against Deep Blue in 1997, because I won the first one in 1996. The match was a tie. Each side won 1 game with 3 draws. Played with black pieces, and I missed my chances in game 4 and 5. And I wasn't sure when I started the game, and I picked up the line that I never played before. But that was my hope, that since I never played it before and it was not part of my opening repertoire, that computer would not be ready. And I play in this position very risky, to be precise, a bad move, h6, attacking the knight, and provoking white to sacrifice a piece, which is very strong. It's maybe not winning, but gives white a very strong initiative. But machines don't sacrifice a piece for a pawn without having a concrete outcome inside. So I expected that computer would go back on e4, because this move was not in the special database prepared by Grandmaster team that worked with Deep Blue. And to my horror, Deep Blue immediately took on e6, which meant that the move was already put in. I just couldn't play this game. Position was pretty dangerous and bad, but I lost it in a few moves because I was shocked by the fact that I just made such miscalculation. I found out later, many years later, that I was right on both counts. One is that machines didn't play such moves. It was just against machines' logic. And that was admitted by the Deep Blue team, saying Deep Blue would have never made this move unless that very morning they decided to install this opening position in the opening book. Maybe it's the most famous game in the history of chess. If you look at the sheer numbers of people who followed it, many people believe it was a watershed moment where machines established its dominance over human players. Now, of course, the free chess app on your mobile phone today is stronger than Deep Blue. This is arguably the most important game in my life, game 24 against Anatoly Karpov in our second match in 1985. I was leading 12-11 before the last game, and Karpov had to win to retain his title. And as you could see, he achieved a very promising position. It's a white concentration on the king side. It's menacing, and white has quite a few options. One is just I should always watch f5 as a breakthrough. Another one is a little more subtle, to play bishop d4, just exchanging the bishop. That is one of the key defenders of black's king. And if black goes c5, then he takes. Now, because of the attack on f7, I have to take with the knight. But then queen actually changes its direction, attacking h7 pawn. So there are many options for white, and it seems that black had nothing to do to improve its position. Here, after long thought, I found one of the most difficult moves in my life, and at first sight it's a paradox, because you don't want to put your rook in such an ugly position as e7. But that's something that you have to do. Instead of white, pushing on the king side, the game shifted to the center and the queen side, and priority here is to defend the king. Rook here protects this pawn and neutralizes both of white threats. And that's most important, because if white initiative doesn't produce immediate results, then eventually black can do something active. And I remember that when I played rook e7 and Karpov came back to the chessboard from his green room, instantly you could feel that he sensed that something has changed. He didn't like it, so I actually gained even more confidence. Your confidence is not only good for you, but somehow it transcends to your opponent, and it undermines your opponent's confidence. And Karpov made a quiet move, king g1. I put another rook here, which is totally odd because both rooks are just standing behind the pawn on e6, but I'm just fighting against f5, and then after rook d1 I even played f5, and Karpov took en passant, I took on f6, and then eventually I sacrificed the pawn. Game ended up with a complicated position that Karpov had to force a draw, but he decided to press forward because draw didn't make any good to him. And eventually I won the game, won the match, and won my title, November 9, 1985. You have to make tough decisions, and you have to be able to resist pressure and survive after psychological blows and losses. It's more of your character. And with some good training, it's not really hard to reach a certain level. The difficulty starts when you are trying to fight for big titles and just to climb to the top.